The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN, 8:30 a.m. Friday morning, 60 minutes to go until that opening bell. And as we speak, we're waiting for some retail sales numbers, folks. Right now, we'll jump over to the S&Ps, minus 3 points, trading at 33.64, catching a little bit of a bounce off the overnight lows of about 33.50. And as we await that retail sales number coming out as we speak, seeing a little bit of volatility in the markets. NASDAQ and Q futures positive. Go figure, the NASDAQ usually in positive. NASDAQ, the only index in the positive, closing things out yesterday. And Q futures up 20 points at 11,195. The Dow negative 85 points, 27,738. Gold contract, talk about some volatility, folks. Gold minus $17 at 19.52. You look at where we were, though. This is a 5-minute bar. We were as high on gold towards the end of the day of 19.72, almost $100 from where you were early on Wednesday. The volatility continues. Silver, negative 95 cents at 26.76. Notes and bonds, a little bit of higher price and lower yield. The 10-year right now, plus 3 ticks at 139.02. We got a 138 handle in that 10-year. The 30-year up 8 ticks at 178.02. And we'll jump over to the VIX this morning. VIX, the VIX, 2261. We saw a little bit of elevation as the S&Ps were trading at about 33.50. Currently trading 2261. And there it is, folks. Retail sales for July rose 1.2%. The estimate was 2.3%. Doesn't get much more muted than that in terms of barely an increase. 1.2%, excluding autos. The estimate was 1.2% there. So quite the number. The market digesting it as we speak. But guess what, folks? The market actually liking it. Maybe they thought things could be worse. We're seeing the S&Ps up to about 33.70. We're seeing the NASDAQ futures up 38 and the Dow negative by 50 points right now. All right, jumping around to what else we have going on in the markets. So I'm going to start it off with this article Tom sent me. Pretty cool article just talking about as the landscape of a lot of different industries, this having nothing to do with COVID. We're going to take a little break from COVID for a few minutes. DraftKings and FanDuel. So they lost, they didn't lose. The IRS Chief Counsel Memorandum came out and says that companies must pay tax on every wager, the entry fee they accept, as well as an annual occupational tax on each person accepting those wagers. Pretty cool how this industry just still taking shape in a lot of states, like Florida, for instance. Sports gambling, not legal at all, but somehow they snuck in the fantasy sports exception into there. But the IRS might squash that with some IRS tax rulings. And the quote here, this is one of the most significant events in the evolution of sports betting in the U.S. that has happened in a long time, said a Nevada-based gaming attorney. It could mean fantasy sports companies would face millions of dollars in taxes if they haven't been paying and are challenged by the IRS. The taxes due, check this one out, could be potentially business destroying in some jurisdictions. The daily fantasy sports industry generated $3.2 billion in entry fees and about $335 million in total revenue in 2018. So what the article doesn't break down in here is how this varies from entry fees to revenue, because they're obviously charging a fee. When you enter some of these daily fantasy lineups, you pay a fee. Usually it's about, let's say it's a $25 entry, and then you pay whether it's a 10%, so $2, maybe $1 goes to the fee, $25 to the prize pool, and about 10% to the fee. But nonetheless, you're going to see this play out. And to jump over to see how it is hitting these stocks, DKNG is their symbol. There's a little volatility for you from 36 down to 34. Some of these stocks, Penn Gaming, they had bought Barstool, Penn National bought Barstool Sports off a bit. Not a huge reaction, but pretty interesting as this as that whole landscape of online betting and gambling takes shape. And they lost They lost one last night, and they're going to face some legal challenges, but nonetheless, we'll see how that shakes out. All right, jumping around to other stocks making moves this morning. We'll start it off. The two of the biggest, Apple and Alphabet. They're being sued by Epic Games, the developer of Fortnite, after both removed Fortnite from their app stores. Both claims that Epic violated guidelines regarding in-app purchases to avoid fees. This one is just going to continue to play out, folks. If you are on one of these app stores, whether it's the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, the Android Play Store, both of them taking a substantial level of fees. These companies trying to basically circumvent those fees. Both claim that Epic violated guidelines regarding the in-app purchases to avoid fees. Separately, Apple is on watch after coming close to $2 trillion valuation Thursday. So what do they need? They need $467.77 to hit that trillion mark. Apple just been a rocket ship one way up. We're trading at $460, about $7 away. We were at $464.17 yesterday. Google shares off a bit from the highs yesterday, $15.37 to $15.19. Pretty amusing, the muted reaction on this retail sales number. The market kind of waiting for it. We sell off overnight. The sell-off begins at about 3 a.m. Eastern time. We're up there at almost 33.80. You trade down 30 S&P points pretty quickly by about from 3 a.m. You reach the lows by 4:20. Watch out, Elon Musk. And we go from 33.50 to 33.67 right now. Again, pretty muted action. Speaking of the man, Elon Musk, Tesla, a one-way rocket ship. They announced a 5-for-1 stock split Tuesday after the bell. And since then, folks, you are up more than $300. Amazing, right? You're trading from a close of about $13.68. We're trading at $16.71. By the time they split this thing's 5-for-1, they're going to have to split it again. I mean, already you just went up a substantial level. You're now at about, what are we at? $330, $340 per share price, even when you split it. See how that shakes out. Big numbers, though, across the board. All right, back into earnings. AMAT out with their numbers. Adjusted quarterly earnings, $1.06, 11 cents above. While the maker of semiconductor manufacturing equipment also saw revenue beat forecast, AMAT also gave an upbeat current quarter forecast amid rebounding demand. So decent numbers across the board. And there's your pop from 65 up to almost 68, currently trading at 67.30, looking to open about $2.30 higher for AMAT shares this morning. Baidu out with their numbers, beating estimates on the top and bottom lines. But the Chinese search engine giant shares are under pressure on the news that its video streaming service is subject of an SEC investigation seeking financial records dating to the beginning of 2018. So, Baidu, and this is, I guess, their streaming service, IQ. Baidu shares, there's your drop from them, from 124 to 114. And is IQ a symbol? There you go, from 22 down to 17 on their streaming as the woes continue there. Talk about some volatility with China. All right, as we wrap up this first segment, folks, S&P's at 33.67. Taking a look at that gold contract. Gold off about $15, 19.55, holding pretty steady on the retail sales number. And we'll check back in on that VIX as we wrap up this first segment. The VIX pulling back a bit, 22.54. Stay tuned, folks. When we come back from the break, see what else we have on tap for Friday trading. We'll look into those retail sales a little bit more. Stay tuned, folks. I'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com.
TFNN has launched our brand new website. You can still visit us at the same TFNN.com URL, but when you do, you'll see a new and improved homepage with a much simpler navigation, whether you're watching Tiger TV live in high definition or just accessing your newsletter subscriptions. We even have new pricing in 6 months and yearly options. Check out the new TFNN.com now and experience all the upgrades. TFNN.com, educating investors.
The gold market has taken off topside in a large way in 2020. If you want to take advantage of this sector, now is the time to subscribe to my gold report. The gold report took profits in 4 of its equities in the gold portfolio in the first week of January for a combined profit of 99.2%, with 2 positions left in the portfolio that have a profit of 67.5% as of January 7th. The gold report is a comprehensive look at the metals sector as well as the markets that move gold, which is the currency and bond markets. New subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. Every Monday morning, I publish the gold report with coverage of gold, silver, bonds, the XAU, HUI, GDX, as well as more than 30 different mining equities. To see for yourself the types of profitable trades that are recommended within the gold report, sign up now by visiting TFNN.com. Don't miss out on the next great gold trade. Sign up today.
Are China A-shares hot or not? If you trade China A-shares, now may be time to take a closer look. Trade CHAU or CHAD, Directions Daily CSI 300 China A-share Bull and Bear ETFs. China A-shares in either direction. Visit directioninvestments.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction shares at 866-476-7523. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
All right, welcome back, folks. We get the S&Ps negative by 1, NASDAQ futures positive by 29, the Dow negative by 66. Pretty muted reaction. As I mentioned, this market just hanging out on that retail sales number. Right now, the S&Ps, we're within about 1-2 points of where we were for most of the morning as the market just digests that number. Jumping around to other stories we got going on out there, continuing the number, stocks making moves. So some of them, as I already mentioned, scrolling up a bit. I'm going to get down. Where's our man Tesla? He was up here. Where is he? Shame on me. Come on. There he is. Elon Musk upgraded by Morgan Stanley, and also they got 2 upgrades, I believe. Upgraded by Morgan Stanley analyst to equal weight from underweight. Yeah, there were 2 updates in there. I'll find it. Either way, jumping around. So that's Tesla. AutoZone. These stocks, folks. AutoZone jumping around. Check out this bad boy. AutoZone trading at 1187. Up from 684 at the doldrums of the valley, and putting this on a 3-year weekly for some context. You were at $600 just back in April of 2018. You doubled in price to $1274, and we're almost right back up to those levels. You put it on a 5-minute. There's your volatility. The bid ask pretty far away, but they are adding 20,000 U.S. employees. The auto parts seller is taking the action in response to rebounding demand from both retail and commercial sales. All right, Citigroup. Citi mistakenly paid $900 million to lenders of cosmetics maker Revlon by mistake. How about a $1 billion mistake? According to people familiar with the matter, the paper said the bank is now asking for the money to be returned, saying it was paid inadvertently due to a clerical error. Those mundane details, folks, of who you're sending your billions to, pretty remarkable, right? In this day and age, you can just ship $1 billion to somebody mistakenly. Citi trading at about 50-250 right now. All right, jumping around to what else? Dillard's. So the department store operated a much smaller than expected quarterly loss. All right, these retail stocks, we got retail sales today. We'll jump into that a little bit more. But although revenue was short of street forecast, Dillard's said inventory and cost control measures help boost profit margins, and it would maintain the same conservative fiscal approach moving forward. DDS is their symbol. There you see the pop. The market likes it from 27. We're going to open almost 15% higher at almost $32 for Dillard's. For some context on where this stock has been, we are in the doldrums, folks, from 70 down to 21. We're still hanging. I mean, 31 on this chart's basically going to be the top of the range it's been bouncing around in since April 1st. So I would not get too excited for that stock. All right, retail sales, breaking down the numbers in here. Here we go. Retail sales rose 1.2% in July. The estimate was 2.3. Excluding autos, sales actually beat the consensus, rising 1.9% versus the forecast of 1.2. Quite a dichotomy how these two differ just when you exclude autos, right? So really, not many autos may be getting sold because retail sales only rose 1.2. The market was looking for 2.3. But you take out autos, and sales went 1.9, and the market was only looking for 1.2. So obviously the analysts getting the autos wrong in that one. Electronics and appliances led gains, while bars and restaurants were also up. And that's the staggering thing here, folks. We should be growing at greater numbers. Retail sales saw an 8.4% surge in June that included huge gains in furniture and appliances. Electronics and appliance sales saw 22.9%, while clothing increased 5.7%, and bars and restaurants, one of the industries especially battered by the coronavirus, were up 5%. Okay, Hong Kong cuts GDP forecast for 2020 after economy contracts 9% on year in the second quarter. That number out as you have Hong Kong's economy contracting by 9% in the second quarter compared to a year ago. The Hong Kong government also downgraded its forecast for the economy, projecting a contraction between 6 and 8% in 2020 as that marches on. All right, and jumping around to some of the other stocks I like to take a look at, always on our radar. We talked about Apple. Disney shares trading a bit lower today. Put this on some short time to 130.20 from about 131 yesterday. We'll take a look at those ride-sharing companies. Uber pulling back after their earnings to about 30.50. Lyft really trading lower on their numbers and continuing the slide. We came into their earnings on Wednesday night at about 30 and change, call it 30.50. We're now $2 off that level at 28.50 for Lyft shares. Jumping around to some of the cannabis stocks, Canopy Growth, talk about just kind of plateauing after their numbers. The market liking what they had to say. Spikes to 18.81, but we've pulled back to about 17.25. Tilray, 707, really pulling back on their numbers as well. Kronos last week started the slide on the cannabis stocks. We'll put this back a little bit on the 20-day. There's their drop on earnings from 7. We're now just hanging out at 5.74. I would be very careful of this stock especially, folks. This stock, Tilray, ACB as well. The only ones that, Canopy, the biggest market cap out there, probably the most secure in terms of at a time like this, you really want to be protected in your capital. You want to make sure that that company is going to be around. And Canopy, they got Constellation Brands behind them, and Constellation catching quite a little bid in the last week. We go from last Friday at 170. We're up almost $8 on Constellation Brands, the maker of Corona beer, not coronavirus, Corona beer, along with many wines you're familiar with, if you do drink wine. Meiomi, I think, Kim Crawford, there's a bunch out there, let alone their investment in Canopy Growth. Putting this on daily. It had an uptrend. I was sending this out to my subscribers, Rocket Equities and Options. It's got to get back in that channel, but it's making a shot at it as we go from 170 to 177 this week on Constellation Brands. All right, jumping around to natural gas. We got natural gas inventory numbers yesterday. Natural gas been accelerating higher. The low, 144 back in June. We were down at about 160 as of July 20th, and it's been a rocket ship to 202. Back things up on a 15-minute basis. And there you see a little bit of volatility on 1030 on the natural gas numbers, but nonetheless, just kind of comfortable at about 220 right now in natural gas. Silver, negative about $1. These silver and gold talk about some volatility, spiking to lows at about midnight, early Wednesday at 23.58, and silver trading now about 26.79. Taking a look at AMAT shares with their numbers last night, continuing the climb higher up to about 67.40 from 65.07. Some of the other chip stocks out there, AMD 81.87 right now. Intel trading at about 48.70. Pretty muted action in that chip sector across the board. And what else we're going to take a look at? Let's jump around to some of the banks. Citi opening a bit lower at 52.38 this morning. Bank of America, Berkshire Hathaway position in that one in a big way, had really traded higher from 25. That's early last Friday, all the way to 27.25, and we're backing off. We're at about 26.10 right now. Bank of America, JP Morgan shares pulling back as well, 101.50 from 106.80 early in the week. And we have seen some moves in notes and bonds, folks, and that's going to be affecting these markets. Look at that pullback. Last week, the 10-year was more than a full point above where we're trading at right now, 140.09. We've backed it off. We're trading at 139.04 on that 10-year. We're sitting closer to a yield of 0.7% than we were at about 0.55 last week. Stay tuned, folks. We're coming back after the break. See what else we have on tap for Friday trading. I'll be right back in 3 minutes.
Back in the day, I joined Hotel California in 2006, and like many of you, was drawn in by, as well as...
Whatever you think about, you bring about. Whatever you focus on grows.
You see, I believe that everything in life happens for us, not to us. And Tom ignited the fire within me to want to learn how to master the markets. So how did I go from knowing nothing about technical analysis to becoming the #1 market timer for the S&P 500 in 2018 and the #2 market timer in 2019? Simply put, I hired coaches with a proven track record, which led me to a whole new set of tools that I created to interpret the message of buyers and sellers. I would love the opportunity to teach you this award-winning set of tools and to help you improve your market timing. You can test drive my newsletter service, Mastering Probabilities, for the next 30 days with no risk to you. Plus, you'll gain access to archive workshops that'll take you step-by-step through my system. Sign up today by going to the homepage of TFNN.com and selecting Mastering Probability in the newsletter tab.
If you haven't checked out the newsletters page of TFNN.com, what are you waiting for? All of the TFNN newsletters are informative, up-to-date, affordable, and a must-have for every trader looking to gain a competitive informational edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets to offer you the very latest in market news. Plus, new subscribers get to test drive our newsletters risk-free for 30 days. From all aspects of the markets, including stocks, bonds, metals, commodities, and tech, there's a newsletter to fit your needs exclusively from TFNN. Stay informed each day you trade and get that competitive edge that will help you stay ahead of the game. Visit our newsletters page by going to TFNN.com and click the newsletters button near the top of the page. TFNN.com, educating investors.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, oil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
Welcome back, folks. We get the S&P is negative by 4. NASDAQ right now positive by 21. The Dow negative by 95. Checking out that S&P, pretty muted reaction. Since those retail sales came out, we're looking at 15-minute bars, putting it on a 5-minute real quickly, breaking things down. Talk about a tight trading range on retail sales. We did spike up to 33.70 initially. I mean, here's from 8:30. You're talking about a range of 33.63 to 33.70, 7 S&P points, folks. I mean, you back this up to where we've been this week, right? That's a pretty tight trading range, all things considered. Now, we did spike down to 33.20. But still, you're talking about maybe 50 to 60 points. We've bounced around all week in the S&Ps. Folks, we've seen some of those runs. I mean, like on Tuesday, you've seen that run from about 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock on Tuesday. All it takes is 2 hours for this market to move almost 50 S&P points, and we've been hanging around right near these all-time highs on the S&P. We'll see if we get there today. Jumping around to some of the other FANG stocks out there. Netflix shares up marginally at 482.63. Jumping around to Amazon. The King Dog was higher yesterday. Actually finished marginally lower, but Amazon looking to open a bit higher today at 31.75. Microsoft shares 209.20 from about 208.70 yesterday. And what else we got going on? So, stimulus talks going nowhere fast, folks. You got the Senate adjourning through Labor Day without reaching a stimulus deal. So, the rhetoric's going to continue. The politics are going to continue. Meanwhile, we get tens of millions of people unemployed, folks. And hopefully these politicians get it together, because I don't know what's going to happen. But it seems like Republicans came at $1 trillion. Democrats came at $3 trillion. And Democrats said maybe we'll go down to 2. Republicans are sticking at 1 and saying Democrats aren't negotiating. It's all a battle of rhetoric. It's all a battle of public discourse. But nonetheless, sitting there, and the march continues. Doesn't look like anything's happening soon, folks, as they are on break through Labor Day. All right, stay tuned. We got our man, Larry Pesavento, coming up live with Trade What You See at 9 o'clock. I'll be back at 10 o'clock with Tom. Live programming all day at TFNN, folks. Happy Friday. We'll be right back with Larry. Stay tuned.
Larry Pesavento watches the market